Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to be taken from your home and brought to an unfamiliar place, tortured and abused? I will tell you what happens to these animals while taken from their homes and their life, and why it is not okay for this to happen to innocent animals like these. How circuses really treat animals among the gates of what they show is honestly really terrible. Most of these animals are large and quite active, like elephants, tigers, lions, etc. They are forced to spend their lives in cages and trailers because of how much a circus moves from destination to destination. If you realize, a circus moves all the time. They never stop moving. So could you imagine just being stuck in a cage and not having anywhere to go? Most of these animals are only allowed out of their cages when it's time for them to perform. They're right back into the cages they go. So once they perform, they have no time to roam around, play, do nothing. They go perform, and they go right back into the cage that they're stuck with every day of their life. They perform not because they want to, but because they're afraid if they didn't, what would happen. During the off-season of the circus, these animals are housed in traveling crates, while some are kept in tiny trucks. Making them live in such small places gives harmful effects to these animals, like head bobbing and swaying. These animals are beaten, shocked, and whipped to make them perform something they do not understand. And they do it over and over again when these animals don't comprehend the tricks they weren't meant to learn. They're meant to roam, they're meant to prey their prey. They're not meant to sit in cages and be tortured and beaten just to do a trick. Trainers drug these animals and remove their teeth so they can be manageable for something they weren't made to do. So these trainers take their teeth out so they won't hurt them because of how bad they torture them and hurt them, and they take them out so they won't bite them or hurt them. Zoos are miserable places for animals. If you go, you wouldn't think it's a miserable place, but it really is. They do not care about the animals. They just worry about how much business they get from people coming in and out and how much money they can get from those people also. They're not worried about how they treat the animals or how the animals feel. They're just worried about business and money. It may not be known, but zoos train their animals exactly like a circus does. Imagine being a bird and not being able to fly. These birds are kept in cages and aren't able to do what they were meant to do on this earth. Could you imagine being a bird, having wings, and not being able to fly? I couldn't. These poor birds have their wings cut off with a blade with no anesthetics, making their wings never be able to grow back fully and normal like they were born with. Zoos seek out baby animals, which they know is appealing to news media and the crowd, which they are. Once these animals grow older and less attractive to the crowd and the news media, these animals will often be sold or killed. And I got this from the article, Last Chance for Animals. Animals that breed frequently are sold to game farms and ranches where hunters pay to kill them, or they are sold to roadside zoos where they are examined for laboratories. Are you enjoying life? Well, these poor animals aren't. In the cruelty of the circus, 96% of these animals live in circuses are spent in chains and cages. And I got this from Paul's People Helping Animals. Could you imagine just rolling around in a cage with chains stuck to your neck 24/7, not being able to move? I couldn't. These animals spend at least 11 months out of the year traveling long distances, boxed up in these cars and crates with no climate control, with no way to be helped. They go through crates and they go through cages, through cold, hot, with no one there to help them. Circuses send the wrong messages with what they show and how they think it's okay to train animals like they do and have them perform when it is totally wrong. Audiences that go to circuses don't realize how they train their animals and how they make them perform. So a lot of audiences don't realize the torture these animals go through. They just like the show, and that's it. Zoos manipulate the animals they keep captive. Circuses also betray their audience that wild animals are ours to keep at our own cost when it is the total opposite. The captivity these animals live in drives them insane. If I was kept in a cage for 11 months, I probably would go insane too. Not only do these animals on land suffer being captive, but also animals that live underwater also. Could you imagine living in a tank and only being able to swim in such a tiny space and being able to swim in circles? And that's it? Nowhere else? I couldn't. Animals who shun humans in their natural habitat cannot escape what they are known to do. In conclusion, I have shown you why animals should not be put in a zoo or circus and what it does to them mentally and physically with their lives and their bodies. These animals that are put in zoo and circuses have no say-so and no way out. They are tortured over and over again, and it should not be okay for any animal to get treated like this. Now you know what happens to these animals behind the walls of these so-called great places for kids and families to go to. Let's help make this known and stop the violence of these animals. I got my information from Circuses Are No Fun for Animals, Circuses, Three Rings of Abuse, and Freedom of Animals. Thank you.